Ms. Rutland.
Good grief, we've been trying. You might have noticed that you saw the leaders' debate. Natalie Bennett, leader of the Green Party, was the only person to mention the environment across the two debates we've had so far. The Green Party is passionate about the environment, and we're on the verge of a catastrophe. We are now in what has been widely recognised as the sixth extinction phase on our planet, and this one has been caused by us. We as a species are reliant for every second breath we take on the phytoplankton in our oceans. We're rapidly killing those phytoplankton off. We're causing ourselves vast damage. We already know, science is telling us, that global warming is happening. Last year's IPCC report, if it sticks on current path, we'll see 3.7 to 4.8% degrees rise by the end of the century. That will cause huge problems across our planet. We already see people having to migrate because of the effects of climate change. We have a chance now, in December this year, to draw a line under this and say we have to take bold action. There'll be a meeting in Paris of all the world leaders, and the Green Party are calling for a strong commitment from the UK government and European governments to ensure that we actually put this at the forefront of our policy. It has been identified by the Ministry of Defence and Security Services as the biggest threat to national security we face. It's time we actually took it seriously and did something about it.
We want this way.
Yeah, I think it is very interesting that there's been a little discussion about the environment in this campaign. And it was actually brought home to me in a rather personal manner when we were looking at the coverage of the general election. And some of you might be aware that the Port of Newcastle, New South Wales, and the Hunter Valley region in New South Wales suffered some extreme weather conditions last week, resulting in huge amounts of flooding and inundation. And my uncle and aunt who live in the town of Morpeth, we couldn't get hold of them because they basically lost all their communications. Thank goodness they actually had mobile phones, we were able to get a text through. But there was not much coverage at all. You could find something on the BBC website about it, but my brother had to do some searching on the ABC website in Australia. Australia is one of the most extremely affected countries in terms of drought, floods, and it's an issue for them. Now, it's a huge debate in Australia because of the mining and all the chemical industry that goes on there. And I think that reinforces the point that Alistair's making, is that we don't really understand exactly what we're doing to our climate. So it's important that we do put it on the agenda, we do discuss. I'm not, because we're running short of time, going to run through all the Liberal Democrat policies in this area, but I think certainly looking at renewable energy, and I know Ed is particularly involved in that because he works for a renewable energy company, but we've got to look for other power sources so that we can reduce our dependency on fossil fuels, because that's the biggest source of this problem.
Moving this way.
Perhaps I can give sort of two answers. One as a Labour candidate and one as a sort of political scientist. I think that would be appropriate. I think as a Labour Party candidate, I would point to the fact that we have a strong section in the manifesto that commits ourselves very strictly to targets and issues of global warming. It was the previous Labour government that was the first to set serious targets for carbon reduction. One of the commitments we've made is to make our electricity generation carbon-free by 2030. And we've got a commitment to go into the Paris conference that's coming up later this year to try to persuade other countries to set global carbon reduction targets. So that's sort of the party political answer, but the broader answer about why hasn't it taken a higher role in the campaign. And I think it's just a very reactive nature of modern politics. So much politics is driven by opinion polling and constituency polling and a few marginal seats. And sadly, the reality is that for some reason it doesn't actually appear very much in those polls, because I think partly because of the problems of the economy in recent years, people are so concerned with bread and butter issues. But what I would like to do is call on all parties, including my own leader, Ed Miliband, to make this a high priority. I felt that at the last European elections, the Labour Party missed a trick by not focusing on the environment far more. And I think they're making the same mistake again. It's not a mistake I want to make around here, though. I want to sort of raise this issue as prominent as I can. But I think that from an intellectual point of view, I think that's the answer. I think it's the nature of modern campaigning. I think politicians have got to stand up and start offering some leadership on these crucial issues.
I'm afraid there have been a lot of sort of neglected issues in this campaign, and I think probably all of us on this table regret it. You know, foreign policy has been kept in the background. I mean, an issue I feel strongly about, recognition for Palestine has, farming, energy security, defence. They've all taken a back seat to economics and how we redistribute money. I also think something that's taken a back seat is how we actually make money in the first place. The question, though, is about biodiversity. I agree with the questioner. A complement to that question is emissions. I think the most important solution to reducing emissions is to accelerate our development of nuclear power so that we can have a non-fossil fuel energy sector. And I think we're about 10 years behind where we should be.
Thank you. When I was a student at Durham, I studied climatology, geography, and these things, and I brought one along to show you tonight.
It's upside down. Mushroom clouds go up.
Mushroom cloud, big volcano in Chile a week ago. Your attitude, my attitude towards dirt in the atmosphere is probably the same. I don't want it. I want my diesel car to work as efficiently as possible, but I don't want to get rid of it. We should all do everything we can to preserve phytobacteria and phytoplankton and the massive diversity on this planet. But don't forget, all species of life on this planet have died out twice because of a meteorite strike. And when volcanoes like this explode, and there's 2 or 3 more ready to go, it's, as they say in America, curtains for all of us. So don't get too hung up on the world is dying because of your effect. We do have an effect, and we could make the seas cleaner, but we shouldn't lose sleep on the fact that you are the principal reason for climate change. The phrase I like to use is climate normality. We have been melting the ice caps for 50 years, but they're still there, and some of them are growing. Please don't lose sleep tonight.
Final brief comment so we can go to final statements.
Okay. Yes, the world is definitely changing. There's more dramatic weather conditions all over, and I think as well we really do have to cut down on our carbon footprints. We really have got to get other countries on board with this. And I know wind turbines are popular, but if they're put in the right place, and they do have to be put in the right place, then they can work. And also with solar panels as well. A lot of people are having them put on the roofs now, which is great. And when we talk about the poorer people, they are getting money back from this. So that's another plus as well. But we have to do more, and we have to encourage more countries to join in and really make this a big issue. Thank you.
Keep the microphone. Keep the microphone. We've got, you've been great as an audience because they've all spoken a lot, and that's because you haven't badgered and they've spoken well. I'm going to ask each of them to make their final statements, and I've tried to keep some sort of order. So, no, questions were submitted in advance. No, the meeting's finishing at 9 o'clock. The candidates won't be rushing off. You can speak to them. We've allocated an hour and a half. Questions? What's your question on?
585 earthquakes caused last year because of fracking. They're having 2 a day.
We haven't. I'm not going to have a question. The questioner feels strongly about fracking. If you don't stop speaking, I'll have you removed. If you don't stop speaking, I'll have you removed. We've submitted questions, and the candidates have all asked a question, including one on the environment. The questioner raises the issue of fracking, which he can raise individually with all the candidates. You're going to stop speaking now. Thank you. The issue of fracking can be raised with each of the candidates. I'm calling to Mrs. I know you won't be rude enough to speak over a candidate. Mrs. Gordon, will you speak?
Thank you. Yes, just
Final speak.
a personal account of me, if you like. Before I was fully immersed in water, I wasn't interested in politics at all, not at all. And then when I was immersed in water, it was wonderful. And now, as I say, I became a councillor in May. And one of the things that I was really wanting to bring this up for was the fact about, now this is my faith, and we brought up extremist groups, and I was thinking that, obviously this is my view, but I believe that these extremist people that are asking people to join them, all these young people that have been running off to these countries and joining with ISIS and whatever. And for me, I think education, we must educate these young people. And for me, Christianity is the key because it will help them stand against it. Now, this is my belief, and I am truly with God because Jesus is Lord and Saviour. And now with the overseas, yes, I believe that with immigrants coming into the country, we can, I hope that we can arrange something to create jobs so that we can get all these people with skills working. But also, we have a responsibility for these people that are coming across, obviously, on these boats and getting into difficulties and obviously which is awful, so people are dying. And we should have dedicated search and rescue teams. We should have them. And I think it's wrong that we didn't have a proper dedicated team, as this lady said here. And I think we should, as the crisis is now, we probably should have more than 2 or 3. We should have a good patrol around in this area. And I think with local GP surgeries, as I've said, I think we should reduce a lot of the fees for the universities so that we can get more doctors and nurses. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we have a brief summary statement if you don't want to go through everything?